Hello, fight fans. Welcome back to 10 Count. I am your host, Michael Montero, joined by Doug Fischer, the editor of Ring Magazine, and Mike Baca of Undisputed Champion Network. Guys, let's talk a little Superfly. Superfly 2 to be exact. On February 24th here in Los Angeles, this time at the Forum in Inglewood on HBO, we have a triple header. Srisaket Sor Rungvisai, or Wisaksil Wangek, whichever you prefer, going up against Juan Francisco Estrada. Rungvisai defending his WBC super flyweight title that he won off Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez last year. Also, we have Carlos Cuadras versus McWilliams Arroyo in a good crossroads bout between those two. And Donnie Nietes versus the Argentinian fighter Juan Carlos Reveco. And on the international broadcast, Brian Villoria going up against Artem Dalakian for the vacant WBA flyweight title. Let's start with the main event, Rungvisai Estrada. Doug, I think this is a fantastic fight, and the winner of this fight, a lot of people already have Rungvisai on the pound-for-pound list, but the winner of this fight, if it's a decisive victory, where's the winner on the pound-for-pound list to you? Top five?
Yeah, maybe 6, 7 or so. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are boxing writers who have Estrada ranked right now, and they have in the past.
He's been on the bubble for years,
yes,
right?
He's one of those guys who's always been just outside of the top 10, and would probably be on the inside of the top 10 had he been more active in recent years. Last September, when he went up against Carlos Cuadras, he was coming off some inactivity, and that probably factored in sort of his slow start. But once this guy got warmed up and got acclimated to that jab and that kind of herky-jerky stick-and-move style of Cuadras, we saw what makes him so special. He is one of the most complete boxer punchers in their prime from Mexico. He is arguably as good as Canelo Alvarez, if you're just looking at him at a pound-for-pound sense. He's a complete fighter, and he's versatile in there. Now, he was more of like a stand-your-ground counter-puncher technician against Cuadras. But if you go back to late 2012, when he really made his splash and announced himself on the world-class scene, is when he fought Roman Gonzalez here in LA at the Sports Arena. And he fought kind of a stick-and-move fight against Gonzalez. You know, Gonzalez is the quintessential pressure fighter, volume puncher. He handled that like few fighters could handle, could go 12 rounds with that version of Chocolatito. Right, that was 108-pound Chocolatito, probably at his peak. And he was able to put hands on Chocolatito as he was backing up. And Chocolatito was coming forward. So that might be the version that we see against Sor Rungvisai. Because Sor Rungvisai is a straight-up southpaw puncher destroyer. He goes out there, he wants to get you to exchange with him because he knows he can either block that punch or take that punch. And more likely, you can't take his power, or eventually he will break your ass down. Nobody just stays in the pocket with Sor Rungvisai without getting chewed up. So this is going to be a very interesting matchup. I think it's the best matchup that can be made at 115 pounds. The Ring Magazine, the vacant junior bantamweight Ring Magazine championship might be on the line for this fight. So it's significant, and personally, I think it's one of the top 3 fights that has already been scheduled in 2018, and it's the fight that I'm looking forward to covering the most.
Mike, let's talk about Carlos Cuadras and McWilliams Arroyo, 2 good quality fighters. As I mentioned before, a crossroads type of fight. Cuadras coming off that loss to Estrada on the Superfly 1 card. Didn't look great in his fight with David Carmona prior to that at MSG on the Golovkin-Jacobs undercard, but gave Chocolatito hell in his fight prior to that.
Yes.
For Arroyo, he hasn't fought since his loss to Chocolatito, also at the Forum in April of 2016, decorated Puerto Rican amateur. How do you see this fight playing out?
Well, I'm interested to see how Cuadras plays out because he's over at the Summit in Big Bear with Abel Sanchez training for this fight. Now, it's funny you mentioned Carmona, how he didn't look great. I heard whispers that Cuadras didn't really train all that much for that fight.
He didn't.
and we saw the result of it.
And Cuadras is a guy who likes to party as well. It's just not. It's just not a question of not always pushing himself in training, but he likes to have fun.
Absolutely.
And that can.
He's got a personality.
Oh, absolutely.
He's got a real
he's a fun guy to talk to.
He's hilarious.
But that can impact your performance.
Absolutely.
Against somebody with a difficult style or in a letdown fight situation. I mean, he almost beat Chocolatito. I mean, and he
we were all there,
himself
right?
so
He had an argument. There was an argument that he did win.
Oh, there were a lot of fans in attendance and some along press row that thought Cuadras beat Chocolatito. That's a big deal. And then you fight this guy who's pretty much unknown in like a 10-rounder, and you're kind of lower on the, you go from the main event,
really
being a champion, and you're kind of lower, on that card, on the undercard. That's a letdown fight. That's a fight that a former champion is not going to get up for if he's not a consummate professional. And he wasn't at that time.
No.
It'd be interesting to see if he's learned to be a professional, like a real prize fighter where you train your ass off for every fight, because Sanchez will accept nothing less, right?
Absolutely. And when I talked to Cuadras, that was the first question I brought up. The summit is known as being this, very strict atmosphere. It's really no BS up there. And he says he likes the atmosphere, and that really has helped his training. It still remains to be seen against McWilliams Arroyo, who is coming off a very long layoff. I was able to speak with him as well at the opening press conference announcing the fight. And McWilliams Arroyo tells me that, he's had to experience his country being ravaged by those 2 tornadoes, or not tornadoes, hurricanes. And he says he's been training the entire time.
I think he had some fights scheduled.
He did, and they never fell through.
Right.
He said there's no excuses, but he doesn't really know what was going on. He seems to be kind of confused about the whole situation. But, he's fighting he's got his country behind him. I'm sure they want him to do well. I'm sure they're happy to have him back. He's an accomplished amateur.
World amateur champion.
Yes, he's a very good amateur.
And he was an Olympian, obviously.
And this is his first fight at 115 pounds, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
We'll see. Again, I'm hoping to see the same Cuadras we saw against Chocolatito. That Cuadras, I think, can handle Arroyo handily and get him back into the conversation of fighting for the 115-pound title, the WBC title. I believe the WBC might put a silver title on this one and perhaps make it a mandatory.
I think maybe whoever wins this could be in line to face the winner in the main event, which is great. But I don't think I think even Cuadras at his best, I would be shocked if he absolutely handled Arroyo, because even Chocolatito didn't just totally dominate him. He has a kind of boxing style where at the very least he can be pesky, and I think he's a mature guy. He's very motivated.
Tough
for
fighter,
this fight.
knows how to survive.
Right. I'm looking forward to just like a good quality 10-round boxing match. I'm not expecting World War II, even though it's there's that storied rivalry, Mexico versus Puerto Rico.
Absolutely.
But these guys really, at their essence, they're boxers.
Yeah.
And going with the international feel, the third fight on this card, Donnie Nietes, the Filipino fighter, going up against Juan Carlos Reveco, an Argentinian fighter. These guys, you look at the tail of the tape. Nietes is 35 years old. He's defending his IBF flyweight title.
35 is very old for those weight classes.
And Reveco's 34.
Yeah.
Now, the thing about Reveco, he's an Argentinian fighter, as I mentioned, former titleist at 108 pounds and 112 pounds. This is his first bout in the USA. And sometimes we get these guys coming up from Argentina with these great records. We don't know what we're going to see. We've seen Reveco before. He's a good quality fighter. But how do you see this fight playing out, Doug?
I think we're going to get a quality match. Like you noted, Reveco is a 2-division champ. Nietes is sensational. He's one of those guys who's just hovering outside of the top 10 pounds.
He's been one of the better little fighters,
3 divisions,
right?
yes.
Absolutely.
Strawweight, just like Chocolatito. Strawweight, junior flyweight, and now flyweight. He's arguably the best fighter out of the Philippines right now. I'm sure that guy Jerwin Ancajas would maybe dispute that, but he's a young guy. He's still proving himself. Nietes is proven. And both these guys are boxers who can fight, and I think they're going to bring it. Nietes has fought in the States before, and Reveco, although he's never fought in the U.S., he has traveled outside of Argentina and South America. He's traveled to Japan.
I was going to say, he's fought in Japan, right?
So he's a professional. I think we're going to get a quality 12-round bout. I'm not sure who wins this. I think I'm going to give a slight edge to Nietes.
And then also on the
By the way,
international broadcast.
that fight could be for a vacant ring title. That could be for the vacant ring flyweight title because Nietes is #1 and Reveco is #3.
It's already IBF 112 on the line, right?
Right,
Yeah,
that is correct.
I know Nietes has talked about wanting Estrada before, and he was coming up to 112 to fight him, then Estrada moved up. If he wins this fight, if he's successful, do you think he tries to go up to 115? Or
I think Superfly is going to be a brand. I think this is going to be at least a twice-a-year occurrence going forward.
Twice a year?
Yeah. I think we'll get maybe a Superfly 3 before the end of this year because the winners and the losers of these fights on February 24, they can match up.
Yeah.
And the great thing about flyweights and junior bantamweights, the best fight the best because they have to. You don't eat if you don't fight. You don't make a lot of money just fighting stay busy fights in these weight classes. If you're going to make some real substantial paydays, you got to take a risk and you got to fight your fellow contenders, your fellow title holders. And guess what? That's what all of these guys want to do. When you talk to them, they say, I want to fight the best. I want to win a title if I don't have one. If they have a title, they want to unify. They want to be undisputed. All of these guys. Going to the top, to Sor Rungvisai, that's what they say. I want to be the undisputed champ. So they will fight each other. And so what we have is a beautiful round robin at flyweight and super flyweight. So that means we're going to see Superfly 3, 4, 5, 6 over the next couple of years, and that's a beautiful thing.
And we can thank Chocolatito for that.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, he started this whole thing. And Tom Loeffler, let's thank him for that as well.
Yeah, and he's promoting this card.
And, you know, I love the international feel. We were all there for Superfly 1, and just walking around the arena there at StubHub Center, there were fans from all over the world.
Yeah.
There were fans from South America, fans from Australia who flew in, Europe, Thailand.
Yeah, Thailand.
I talked with people from all over the world, and they're coming back for this one. So, you know, the international feel is what makes these cards so fun. And then the best fighting the best. The international broadcast is going to have Brian Villoria fighting Ukrainian fighter Artem Dalakian for the vacant WBA flyweight title. For the Hawaiian Punch, Villoria, he's former titleist at 108 and 112 pounds. Dalakian's 15-0 with 11 knockouts. Born in Baku, Azerbaijan. I think I got that right. And now he's based out of Ukraine, but his first fight outside of Ukraine. Doug, are you calling this one?
I don't believe I am.
You're not calling this one?
I will definitely be ringside for this.
I'm excited for this one. Anytime the Hawaiian Punch fights, you have to be excited, right?
Absolutely. And the last Superfly card, he was on the international broadcast, and he knocked out, I forget his name, but it was a very thrilling fight up until the 5th round knockout that he had. And this is going to be the same. I think this opponent, however, is going to be tougher. Yeah. I don't know too much about him, but he's young, undefeated.
Yeah,
he's
15
got knockouts.
He's strong. He brings it.
Villoria's in there tough.
But I think that style suits Brian. I think Brian is at his best when he's fighting a pressure fighter or an aggressive fighter. He still has that punch, even though he's in his mid-30s, which is ancient for a flyweight who once fought at junior flyweight. He is, this will be his 5th world title that he is contended for. He's won 4 world titles.
He's carved out a really great,
over 2 weight
underappreciated career.
U.S. Olympian, 2000. Last man standing from that 2000 class. Yeah, think about the guys who were the standouts from the class of 2000. That was Rocky Juarez, who won a silver. That was Jermaine Taylor, who won bronze. That was Jeff Lacey, who went on to win a title. These guys have been gone, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Brian Villoria is still here. Arguably one of the most notable, accomplished, notable Olympians from the 2000 games since Miguel Cotto, who just retired.
Yeah, agreed.
You know,
amazing.
Just retired in December. Yeah,
still fighting and still at that same weight. It just
still
a consummate professional. I was in Wildcard working out a few weeks ago and saw him in there, and he looked like he was 25.
He does.
You know,
he speaks
just looks
well. He's got a great attitude, got a good spirit about him, and that's how he fights too. He's a spirited dude, and when he's in there with a young go-getter like Dalakian, I think we're going to see. We're not going to see vintage Hawaiian Punch, but we're going to see an entertaining fight.
Yes.
Absolutely agreed. Well, can you tell we're excited? Let us know what you guys think. Comment below. For Doug Fischer and Mike Baca, I'm Michael Montero. We'll see you guys next time on 10 Count.